Let me tell you something. Teaching your kids about money is one of the most impactful things you can do as a parent. It's not just about dollars and cents. It's about shaping their future. Think about it. How many adults out there are drowning in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and constantly stressed about their finances? Why? Because no one ever taught them how to handle money. And you know what? It's not their fault. They didn't wake up one day and decide to wreck their finances. They just never learned the basics. Schools don't teach this stuff. And for many families, money is a taboo topic. But as parents, we have the opportunity to change that. We have the chance to give our kids something most of us never had, the knowledge and tools to handle money wisely. And if you start early when they're young, you can build a foundation that will set them up for a lifetime of financial success. This isn't just a nice to have skill. It's a life skill. You teach your kids how to brush their teeth, tie their shoes, and say please and thank you. Why wouldn't you also teach them how to budget, save, and avoid debt? Here's the deal. Kids who grow up learning how to manage money are more likely to succeed in life, period. They're more likely to build wealth, avoid debt, and live with peace of mind.
And let's face it, when your kids grow up and are financially secure, it's better for everyone, including you. No one wants to be bailing their grown kids out of financial messes because they never learned how to handle money. So start thinking of this as a gift. You're giving them a legacy, really. When you teach your kids about money, you're not just giving them a skill. You're giving them a skill. You're giving them freedom. Freedom from stress, from debt, from being at the mercy of their circumstances. You're giving them the ability to dream big and achieve those dreams because they'll have the financial tools to make it happen.
But let's take a step back. Why is this so important? Because money is emotional. It's tied to so many parts of our lives, our relationships, our careers, our sense of security. If your kids don't learn to manage money, money will manage them.
They'll grow up reacting to their finances instead of taking control of them. They'll become adults who buy things they can't afford to impress people. They don't even they'll swipe their credit card without thinking and wake up one day buried in debt, wondering how they got there.
I've seen it happen over and over again. But the good news is it doesn't have to be that way. Not for your kids. You can teach them to be proactive, to plan ahead, and to make smart choices. And when you do, you'll set them on a path to a life of security, freedom, and even generosity. The truth is, teaching kids about money isn't complicated. It's not about giving them lectures or making them memorize spreadsheets. It's about modeling good behavior and having real, practical conversation.
It's about showing them how to save up for something they want instead of handing it to them. It's about letting them earn money through chores or small jobs and helping them figure out how to manage it.
It's about teaching them to give, to save, and yes, to spend wisely. You don't have to be perfect at this to teach it. You just have to be intentional. And here's the thing. It's never too early or too late to start. Whether your kids are toddlers or teenagers, there's something you can do today to begin teaching them about money.
Imagine the kind of adults your kids could become if you start now. They could be the ones who graduate from college without a mountain of student loan debt. The ones who save up for their first car instead of financing it. The ones who know how to live on less than they make, build wealth, and give generously. That's the vision. And it starts with you. You don't need to be a financial expert to teach your kids about money.
You just need to care enough to start the conversation and lead by example. So let's do this. Let's make financial literacy a priority in your home. Your kids are counting on you, whether they know it or not.
And trust me, when they grow up and see the difference it's made in their lives, they'll thank you for it. You've got this.
Let's talk about how kids learn best, because this is critical. Kids aren't going to learn about money by accident or by osmosis. They're not going to just wake up one day and know how to budget. No, they learn by watching, listening, and doing. They learn by seeing how you handle money. And here's the hard truth. Whether you realize it or not, you're already teaching your kids about money every single day. They're watching how you spend, how you save, how you stress over bills, and how you celebrate wins.
They're taking mental notes. So the real question is, what are they learning from you?
Are they seeing you swipe credit cards and rack up debt to get the things you want?
Are they watching you panic when the bills come in? Or are they seeing you plan ahead, stick to a budget, and make smart choices? This is where the rubber meets the road, folks. Kids don't just need a lecture. They need an example. They need to see what healthy money habits look like in action. If you're living on a written budget, show them. Sit them down and explain how you're telling every dollar where to go before the month begins. Let them see that budgeting isn't about restriction. It's about freedom. You're not saying no to the things you want forever. You're saying not yet, so you can have what really matters later. That's a powerful lesson, and it'll stick with them if they see it lived out in your home. But here's the deal. It's not just about what they see. You've got to invite them into the process. Kids learn by doing, so involve them. If you're grocery shopping, give them a small amount of cash and let them help you stay under budget. If you're saving for a family vacation, show them how you're setting aside money each month and let them contribute a little of their own savings. Make it real and make it practical. And for heaven's sake, let them feel the weight of their decisions. If they want a toy, don't just buy it for them. Let them earn the money, save up for it, and feel the satisfaction of purchasing it themselves. That one simple exercise will teach them more about budgeting, patience, and hard work than any lecture ever could.
Now, here's something else to keep in mind. Kids don't need perfection. They need honesty. If you've made money mistakes, and let's be real, who hasn't? Don't hide them. Use them as teachable moments.
Share age appropriate stories about the times you messed up, the lessons you learned, and how you're doing things differently now. Kids need to see that financial responsibility isn't about being perfect. It's about learning and growing.
That kind of honesty builds trust, and it helps them understand that they can make mistakes and still recover.
I'll tell you something else kids respond to: encouragement. They thrive on it. So when they make a good financial decision, whether it's saving their allowance or saying no to something they can't afford, celebrate it.
Let them know you're proud of them.
Positive reinforcement is a powerful motivator, and it helps them see that budgeting isn't a chore. It's a skill that brings freedom and joy.
Finally, remember this. Kids don't need complex lessons about interest rates or stock markets to get started. Those things can come later. What they need now is the foundation. They need to understand that money is a tool, not a toy.
They need to know that every dollar has a job and it's their responsibility to tell it where to go. Start with the basics: saving, spending, and giving, and build from there. If you can lay that foundation early, they'll have something solid to build on for the rest of their life. So what are you teaching your kids today? Are you showing them that money is something to be feared, something to chase, or something to manage wisely? Are you giving them the tools they need to succeed, or are you leaving them to figure it out on their own? This is your chance to make a difference, to break cycles of financial ignorance, and to set your kids up for a life of success. Don't waste it. Be the example and let your actions teach them what it means to live with purpose and intention. You can do this. Your kids are watching and they're ready to learn. Let's make it count. All right, let's get down to it. How do you actually teach your kids to budget? Because this is where the rubber meets the road, folks. And listen, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a fancy app or a degree in finance to make this work. What you need is a plan, some consistency, and a little creativity to keep it engaging. Here's the thing. Budgeting is about their three main principles: saving, spending, and giving.
That's it. Every dollar your kids touch should have a name and a purpose, even if it's just a few bucks from grandma or their allowance for the week. The goal is to help them understand that money doesn't just appear and disappear and disappear. It needs to be managed with intention.
And the best way to teach this is by keeping it simple and hands-on. Start with the 3 jars method, one for saving, one for spending, and one for giving. This is a visual and tangible way for kids to see where their money is going. When they get their allowance, sit down with them and help them divide it up. Maybe it's 50 into savings, 40 into spending, and 10 into giving. Adjust the percentages based on their age. But the key is to teach them balance. Saving teaches them delayed gratification. Spending gives them freedom and responsibility. And giving shows them the power of generosity. Let them physically put the money in the jars so they can see their progress and understand that every dollar has a job to do.
But don't stop there. You've got to give them real opportunities to budget in everyday life. Let's say you're going to the store and they want to buy a toy. Great. Give them a set amount of money and let them figure out how to make it work. Maybe they can afford a small toy today, or maybe they'll decide to save up for something bigger. Either way, let them make the decision and live with the outcome. If they spend it all on impulse and regret it later, that's okay. It's a lesson.
If they save up and finally buy the thing they've been dreaming of, celebrate that win with them. These small practical experiences teach kids that budgeting isn't about restrictions. It's about choices. And here's a pro tip. Tie their money to work. Kids need to understand that money comes from effort, not entitlement. So if they're old enough, set up a chore chart and let them earn their allowance by completing tasks. This isn't just about getting the laundry folded or the dishes done. It's about connecting the dots between work and reward. When kids earn their own money, they value it more. They're less likely to blow it on something silly when they know how much effort it took to earn it. And if they don't finish their chores, don't give them the full allowance. This is a great way to teach them that in the real world, you don't get paid for what you don't do. Now, let's talk about giving because this is a big one. Teaching your kids to give isn't just about charity. It's about character. It's about helping them understand that money is a tool to make a difference in the world.
When they put some of their money in the giving jar, let them choose where it goes. Maybe it's donating to a local animal shelter, buying a gift for a friend who's struggling. Whatever it is, let them feel the joy of generosity. This will shape their attitude toward money in a profound way. They'll grow up knowing that financial success isn't just about what you can buy for yourself. It's about how you can bless others.
And don't forget about goals. Kids need something to aim for. Sit down with them and help them set savings goals for things they really want. Maybe it's a new bike, a trip to the amusement park, or even just a bigger Lego set. Write down the goal. Calculate how much they need to save each week and track their progress together. This teaches them patience and the value of planning. And when they finally reach their goal, make a big deal out of it. Celebrate the achievement and remind them that budgeting made it possible. Here's the bottom line. Kids won't learn to budget by accident. They need you to guide them, to give them opportunities to practice and to cheer them on when they succeed. Budgeting is a skill that will serve them for life, but it starts with these small intentional steps. So get those jars, create some earning opportunities, and start having these conversations today. Trust me, the effort you put in now will pay off in ways you can't even imagine. You're not just teaching them how to handle money. You're teaching them how to handle life. And that's a gift they'll carry with them forever. Let's make it happen.
Let's be real. Teaching kids to budget isn't always going to be smooth sailing. Sometimes they're going to resist, and sometimes you're going to feel like you're talking to a brick wall.
That's okay. Parenting isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. And this is where the real growth happens, not just for your kids, but for you too. Let's talk about how to handle the challenges, because there will be days when you feel like giving up. Maybe your kid rolls their eyes when you try to explain saving, or maybe they blow all their allowance the second they get it and come back asking for more. It's tempting to throw your hands in the air and say, forget it.
But don't. These are the moments that matter most. These are the moments where the seeds you're planting start to take root, even if you can't see it yet.
First, let's address entitlement, because this is a big one. We're raising kids in a culture that tells them they should have everything they want right now with no effort.
Right now, with no effort. But guess what?
Life doesn't work that way, and neither should parenting. If your kid asks for something and you just hand it to them, you're not doing them any favors. You're teaching them that they don't have to work for what they want. So when they come to you wanting the latest gadget or the trendy pair of shoes, don't just cave in. Use it as a teaching moment. Say, that's great. Let's figure out how you can save for it. Help them set a goal and a timeline, and then step back and let them do the work. Yeah, it'll take longer. And yes, they'll probably complain, but the lesson they'll learn is priceless. Next, let's talk about those moments when they mess up. And they will. They'll blow their money on something dumb and regret it later, or they'll forget to save for a goal they were excited about. When that happens, resist the urge to bail them out. Let them feel the consequences of their choices. If they spend all their money on candy and don't have enough left for the toy they wanted, let them sit with that disappointment. It's not fun to watch your kids struggle, but these small failures are where the real learning happens. It's far better for them to make a $5 mistake now than a $5,000 mistake later when they're out in the real work. And when they do mess up, don't shame them. Use it as a moment to teach and guide. Say, what do you think you could do differently next time? Help them reflect and grow without tearing them down. Then there's the challenge of staying consistent because, let's face it, life gets busy. It's easy to say you're going to teach your kids about money, but it's harder to actually make time for it week after week after week. But here's the thing. Consistency is what makes the lessons stick. If you only talk about budgeting once and never bring it up again, it's not going to sink in. You've got to make it a regular part of your family routine. Maybe it's a Sunday night meeting where you sit down and review the jars. Maybe it's a monthly goal check in. Whatever it looks like, make it a habit. And don't be afraid to get creative. Turn it into a game. Use stories or role playing or set up a reward system for when they hit their savings goals. Keep it fun and engaging, and you'll be amazed at how quickly they catch on.
Another big challenge is staying patient, especially when you don't see immediate results. Teaching kids to budget is a long game. It's not something they're going to master overnight. But remember, you're not just teaching them a skill, you're shaping their character. You're teaching them discipline, responsibility, and perseverance. And those things take time.
So when it feels like they're not getting it, remind yourself that every small conversation, every little lesson is planting a seed. And one day those seeds will grow into habits that will serve them for the rest of their lives. Finally, let's talk about how to handle the emotional side of all this, because money is emotional, even for kids. They might feel frustrated when they can't buy what they want right away, or they might feel guilty about spending too much. Help them navigate those emotions. Teach them that it's okay to feel disappointed or frustrated, but it's not okay to let those feelings control their decisions. Show them that budgeting isn't about deprivation. It's about making choices that align with their goals and values. Here's the bottom line. Teaching kids to budget is one of the most important things you'll ever do as a parent, but it's not always going to be easy. There will be resistance, mistakes, and tough moments. But those moments are opportunities to teach, to guide, and to grow. And if you stick with it, if you stay consistent and patient, you'll give your kids a gift that will change their lives forever. You've got this. Keep going, and don't let the challenges stop you. Your kids are worth it, and the lessons you're teaching them will pay off in ways you can't even imagine. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Now let's shift gears and talk about the long-term impact of teaching your kids to budget. This isn't just about teaching them to save for a toy or decide how much of their allowance goes into a giving jar. This is about preparing them for life. And when I say life, I mean real life, a kind of life where bills show up whether you're ready or not, where emergencies don't wait for payday, and where financial peace isn't handed to you. It's earned through discipline and planning. Teaching your kids to budget now is about giving them the tools they'll need to thrive in that world. It's about breaking the cycle of financial stress and building a legacy of wisdom and freedom that they'll carry with them for decades. Think about it. When your kids grow up, they're going to face financial challenges. Maybe it's paying for college, buying their first car, or saving for a home. If they've learned how to budget, they won't just survive those challenges. They'll conquer them. They'll know how to plan ahead, how to set goals, and how to live below their means. They won't be panicking when an unexpected expense pops up because they'll have an emergency fund ready to handle it. They won't be drowning in credit card debt because they'll know the value of paying with cash. And they won't be living paycheck to paycheck because they'll understand how to take control of their money instead of letting it control them. That's the gift you're giving them when you teach them to budget. It's the gift of financial confidence, independence, and peace. But here's the thing. This isn't just about their bank account. It's about their mindset. Budgeting teaches kids that life isn't about instant gratification. It's about purpose and intentionality. It shows them that saying no to something today means saying yes to something better tomorrow. It teaches them patience, discipline, and the ability to delay gratification, which are skills that will serve them in every area of life. Think about how those lessons will play out when they're adults.
They'll know how to save for a vacation instead of putting it on a credit card. They'll know how to live within their means, even when the world is telling them to spend more.
And they'll know how to give generously because they've learned that financial success isn't just about what you keep. It's about how you use your resources to make a difference. And let's not forget the ripple effect. When you teach your kids to budget, you're not just changing their future. You're changing your family's legacy. Imagine your kids teaching their kids these same principles one day. Imagine a future where your grandkids and great-grandkids aren't struggling with debt or living paycheck to paycheck, but are instead thriving because of the foundation you laid today. That's the kind of impact we're talking about. This isn't just a parenting task. It's a generational shift. It's about breaking the chains of financial stress and creating a legacy of financial stress and creating a legacy of financial peace and responsibility.
Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what if I'm still figuring this out myself? How can I teach my kids something I'm still learning?
Let me tell you, that's okay. In fact, it's better than okay. It's powerful.
Because when your kids see you working to improve your own habits, it shows them that growth is a lifelong journey. You don't have to be perfect to lead by example. Be honest with your kids about your mistakes and what you're doing to fix them.
If you're working on getting out of debt, share that journey with them. Show them how you're budgeting, saving, and making sacrifices to reach your goals.
They'll see that financial responsibility isn't something you're born with. It's something you build step by step. Here's the truth. The world isn't going to teach your kids how to budget. The world is going to teach them how to swipe a credit card, take out loans they can't afford, and chase a lifestyle they can't sustain. If you want your kids to know better, you have to be the one to teach them. You have to be the one to show them that financial peace isn't about having more. It's about managing what you have with wisdom and intention.
And the best time to start is right now.
This is about so much more than money. It's about giving your kids the tools to build a life of freedom, purpose, and generosity. It's about helping them step into adulthood with confidence instead of fear, with a plan instead of chaos. And it's about creating a legacy that will impact your family for generations to come. You have the power to make that happen. You're planting seeds today that will grow into something extraordinary tomorrow. So don't underestimate the importance of this work. Teaching your kids to budget isn't just a life skill. It's a life changer. And you, as their parent, are the perfect person to guide them on this journey.
Let's get to it. So here we are wrapping this all up. Teaching your kids how to budget isn't just a box you check off as a parent. It's a mission, a calling, and an investment in their future. This isn't just about money. It's about shaping who they are and the choices they'll make for the rest of their lives. Let me tell you something. The work you're doing now, the lessons you're teaching them will ripple out in ways you can't even imagine. You're not just preparing them to handle dollars and cents. You're equipping them to handle dollars and cents. You're equipping them to navigate life with confidence, wisdom, and purpose. And trust me, they'll carry these lessons far beyond their piggy bank. Imagine this. One day, your child is standing in a car dealership deciding whether to buy a shiny new car with a 7-year loan or to save and pay cash for something more practical. Or maybe they're sitting down with their first paycheck, excited to map out a budget that includes saving, spending, and giving, because you've already shown them how powerful those principles are. Or picture them in their 30s, starting their own family and teaching their kids the same things you taught them. That's the legacy you're building right now. That's the kind of impact you're having when you take the time to teach them these lessons, no matter how small they might seem today. And let's not forget, this is about freedom. Financial freedom isn't just about having a big bank account. It's about having choices. It's about living without the weight of debt, without the stress of paycheck to paycheck living, without the anxiety of wondering how you're going to make ends meet.
When you teach your kids to budget, you're giving them the gift of freedom. You're teaching them that they don't have to be slaves to their money, that they don't have to live like the world tells them to live, drowning in debt, chasing the next shiny thing, always feeling like they're behind.
You're showing them a better way, a way that leads to peace, stability, and generosity. But let me tell you something else. It's not just about your kids. The truth is, when you teach your kids to budget, you're going to grow too. You're going to grow too. You're going to become more intentional about how you handle your own money because you're leading by example. You're going to have more conversations about values and priorities, not just with your kids, but with your whole family. You're going to see money not as a source of stress, but as a tool for creating a life that reflects your values. And you're going to feel an incredible sense of pride and fulfillment as you watch your kids take what you've taught them and run with it.
Here's what I want you to remember. This is a journey.
It's not something you teach once and then forget about. It's something you build over time, step by step, conversation by conversation, jar by jar. There will be moments when it feels like it's not sinking in, like they're not paying attention or they're not taking it seriously. But don't let those moments discourage you. Planting today will grow into something amazing tomorrow. And one day, when your child looks back and realizes how much they've learned, how much they've accomplished, and how much freedom they have because of what you taught them, they'll thank you. So here's my challenge to you. Start now. Start today. It doesn't matter if you've never talked to your kids about money before or if you feel like you're still figuring it out yourself. Just start. Start with a conversation, a simple exercise, or even just a story about your own financial journey. Start small, but start and keep going, even when it's hard, even when it feels like they're not getting, because you're not just teaching them to budget. You're teaching them to build a life of intention, responsibility, and freedom. You've got this. You're the parent they need, and you're the one who can make this happen. The work you're doing matters more than you know. So don't wait, don't hesitate, and don't give up.
You're changing their future $1 and one lesson at a time. And trust me, the rewards will be worth it. Let's get started.